Welcome to Flash Basics Tutorial 24, More Decision Making. I have the CS5 program opened and I'm going to open a new FLA. Keep the default. And this is sort of a follow-up to the tutorial 23, which was decision making conditional ifs. But this is starting with a new FLA. I'm going to make the first layer, call it ball, B-A-L-L, and on the stage we're going to make a ball. Pick up your rectangle tool and find the oval tool. Doesn't matter what colors you have. Shift down and make a ball. There it is. While it's highlighted, if not, click your selection tool and highlight it. Modify, convert it to a symbol. Call it ball, B-A-L-L, capital B underscore MC. Make sure that movie clip is selected. OK. And go over to the properties panel and call it capital B-A-L-L underscore MC as your instance name. Lock that layer. Open another layer. Call it buttons. B-U-T-T-O-N-S. We're going to make 2 buttons. Pick up the rectangle tool. And I'm going to go with 2 different colors here, a blue. I'm going to make a rectangle. There it is. There's one. And I'm going to pick up another color, lighter blue. Oops, Control Z. Click off that one. Make another rectangle. Lighter blue, there they are. I don't care about their size. And let's do them one at a time. Click the top one. There it is there. Modify, convert to symbol. It's going to be a button this time. And the top one I'm going to call big. B-I-G, capital B, underscore B-T-N, big button. And while it's still selected, open the properties panel. Give it the instance name, capital B-I-G, underscore B-T-N, big button. Select the other one. Modify, convert to symbol. Button should already be selected. Small, S-M-A-L-L, underscore B-T-N, small button. OK. Properties panel. Give it an instance name, S-M-A-L-L, underscore B-T-N. Make sure all the layers are locked. Select the top layer, insert a layer, and call it Action Script, AS. Open the Actions panel, and type in this. Type. It's an event listener. So it's capital B-I-G underscore B-T-N. That's the blue button here. Period. Add event listener. Small a, capital E, capital L. It'll turn blue when you're finished if it's spelt right. Open bracket. Mouse event. So it's going to be something to do with the mouse. Capital M, capital E. That will turn blue if it's spelt right. Period. Capital C, capital L, capital I, capital C, capital K. Click. Comma. And I'm calling it big. B-I-G. That's not blue. Close bracket. Semicolon. Function, F-U-N-C-T-I-O-N, that's a purplish color. Big, copy the big here and paste it here. Open bracket, event, E-V-E-N-T, colon, copy this mouse event and paste it right in here if you wish. Close bracket, colon, void. This, I don't know what I call this, this is semicolon. Void. Open curly bracket, assumes you press that one, this one probably comes up for you. Trace, open bracket, quotation big, quotation close bracket, semicolon. Now you can copy all this, copy it, and just paste it here. Where you see big here, change it to small. Where you see big here, change it to small. Where you see big here, change it to small. And right here. So now, let's just see if those two buttons work. Control, test my movie. I have no errors back here. When I press this, it'll trace big every time I press it. Every time I press this, it traces small. We're back on the main timeline. Select the Actions layer, open the Actions panel, and where you see this trace, let's just comment that out, two backslashes, and the same with here, we see this trace, two backslashes, just comment it out. Click up here, enter. So now, when this big button is pushed, instead of tracing big, we're going to do something. So we have something called BALL_MC, that movie clip, period. And I want to talk about the width and height. HEIGHT, height, plus equals. And let's make it 3, semicolon. So every time we press the big button, the height is going to increment by a value of 3 pixels. So let's copy that, copy, and below it let's paste it, and let's do the width so the ball is symmetrical. WIDTH, that width and height should turn blue if it's spelled right. And let's copy these two lines, come down here below this trace that we're not using anymore, and let's paste them in. And now we're going to decrement, so we're going to be minus equals. Change those pluses to minuses, and let's test this out. I see no errors. Gets bigger, 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 smaller, 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 bigger, bigger. Okay, that works. Let's go up here, and where we got this trace, take those two out so we have a comment now here, and in here I want to trace the height of the ball. So copy this information here, right click, copy it, and in here get rid of those quotation marks, paste it. So now we're going to be pasting or tracing the actual height of the ball. So copy that, copy, cut that, as a matter of fact, cut it and put it down here so it's happening after we change it. So every time we press the big button, we're going to display the new height, which is also the width because it's symmetrical. And let's copy this, copy it, let's bring it down here, under here, and paste it in here. So every time we get bigger or smaller, we're going to see how big that circle the ball is. Let's test this. Control, test movie. Okay, watch up here. There it is. It's going to get bigger by 3 every time. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. And it's going to get smaller by 3. Bigger by 3, smaller by 3. Back to the main timeline. Open the Actions panel again. And way down the bottom, after that last curly bracket, let's put another line, and let's type in this. Type, and it's this information right here. This if starts here. If IF turns purple, open bracket, capital BALL_MC, ball movie clip, period, height, which we know is also the width because it's a circle. If it's greater than or equal to, so greater than equals 35, close bracket, open curly bracket, trace, open bracket, quotation, the ball is 35, quotation, close bracket, semicolon, and our last curly bracket. So as we make the ball bigger and bigger and bigger, eventually it will get to be 35, and that's when this trace will come up. Let's test this out. Getting bigger, bigger. See up here? But notice this, the ball is 35. Sure, because it started off as something bigger than 35, obviously. Let's go back to this action panel. Let's unlock the ball layer. Make sure the ball is selected. Open the properties panel. And sure, we got to make it less than 35. So just come down. There, I'm down to 11. And because this was locked, both of these should be the same value. Now, it should work better. Test the movie. This is better. Getting bigger. Here we go. Getting bigger, 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 bigger. But what happened? It did reach 35 and it didn't trace. I know why. When the first time it come through this frame would be the only time it would test this. So it would have to have on enter frame event, which I don't want to put in. So let's cut this, and all that bottom section is 4 lines. Right click, cut it right out of there. Let's take it and put it up in here in this as we're making it bigger. So right here after this trace, put an enter sign and paste it in here. Now every time we make it bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to look to see if it's that big, and once it reaches 35 it's going to tell us that. So it's important where you put the if statements. Here we go. It's getting bigger, 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 and I think the next time it's going to be 35, and there it says the ball is 35. If we drop back down, come back up, the ball is 35, the ball is 35, or greater than 35. Back to the main timeline. Let's open the actions panel and let's do something similar when it gets smaller. So down here, when we're making it smaller, after this trace, put in a line and type in this if statement. These 4 lines right here. It says if, open bracket, ball underscore MC, period, height is less than or equal to 15, less than equal 15, close bracket, open curly back bracket, trace, open bracket, quotation, the ball is less than 15, close quotation, close bracket, semicolon, and there should be 2 curly brackets at the end here. One is for this if, and this other one here is for this function here. So now we got track of it when it gets big and a track of it when it gets small. Let's test this movie out. Getting small, smaller, smaller. And sure, it's less than 15. We know that. It's less than 15 because it says it's only 2. There it is. Now it's getting bigger. When I reach 35, it'll say 35, 35. Now it's going smaller, smaller. And when I go below 15, it'll say the ball is less than 15. Let's go back to the main timeline. Open the actions panel up. And here in this area where the ball is being made bigger, and we're testing to see if it's greater than 35, at this point we're just tracing, so let's have something else happen. Let's say when it gets greater than 35, let's say ball, B-A-L-L, underscore MC, the ball movie clip, period. Its height, H-E-I-G-H-T, its height will equal 35, semicolon. So that means when I reach this point, I can press the big button as much as I want, and that's as big as it'll ever get. We're restricting it to getting that big. Copy this, insert it 1 line below and paste it, and fix the width. W-I-D-T-H. And let's do something similar when we make it smaller. So we're restricting it to 35. When it gets big, copy this, come down here where we're tracing this statement, put a line in, paste it, and let's say when it gets less than 15, it says you're stuck at 15, you can't go any smaller. Let's test this movie. Test, test. We're getting bigger, 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 and it's getting bigger, but now can't get any bigger. The numbers can't get any bigger, the balls can't get any bigger than that. Go smaller, smaller, we can get down around 15, and that's where it stays. It's going, in this case, if you look, let's close this for a minute. If you look, it actually went 15 minus the 3 because it went to 14. And we're dealing with 3 increments. Likewise here, when we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, we jumped from 35.2 to 38 because it goes up that high and it takes the next increment. Go back to the Actions panel. I'd like to do one more of these with you. Let's prevent this from changing size. Let's 2 backslashes here, 2 backslashes here, so we can't increment the size. Let's go down here, 2 backslashes here, 2 backslashes there, so we can't decrement the size. And up here after those 2 comments that we commented out, let's put BALL underscore MC period alpha, ALPHA, that's how it's the color in it. Let's say plus equals, so we're going to increment. It's a percentage, so we'll make it 20%, 0.2, semicolon. Copy that line, come down to where we're decrementing, down here. After that, width 1, paste what we just copied, and minus equals, so we're decrementing. Let's go back to stage 1. Let's unlock the balls layer if it isn't. Let's select the ball so we can see it. And let's just go over to the properties panel, select the ball, properties panel, and make sure this chain is locked. And let's make it a good size, and both of them should change width and heights. Now let's test it. Now these buttons ain't going to make it bigger and smaller anymore. They're going to just change its alpha. Why is that? There it goes. There it goes. Brighter, brighter, brighter. Smaller, 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 smaller. Brighter, 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 brighter. And you notice how quickly it jumped there when I first did that. Let's do that again. Contest movie. It's full alpha now, so making it brighter isn't going to do anything. But as we do, we're telling it, we're clicking this button, which is looking at that if statement that said, is it greater than 35, I believe we said, and it was, and it restricted to 35, so we can't prevent that. Now we're going to decrement it, and look, the alpha is decrementing, decrementing, decrementing. I can increase the alpha, decrease the alpha. So you can do a whole lot of things with these if statements. Let's go open the Actions panel for a minute, and I'll show you what I was talking about right here. When we clicked that button and said make it bigger, we didn't actually make it bigger because we stopped that from happening, but we left this test in here. And when we physically made it bigger, when we were programming it by opening the properties panel, we made it something like 60 or something, which satisfied this test, which made it 35. That's why the ball shrank the first time we hit the big button. Hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope you use what you learn.